Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're going to talk about the Human Torch and how you can obtain him, rank him up to 6 stars, and then potentially get him to tier 2. So we're going to take a look first at a 1-star Human Torch that I have here at level 40 and how I went about getting him all the way ranked up in order to get him to tier 2. Now, you can use a mega rank up ticket, but because this character is available so easily and so readily from the Biometrics Selectors, which you can get from the Alliance store, you can get them from playing Shadowland, you can get them from login events, check-in events. New players also get 6-star character selectors. Those are all ways with those green symbols, with the green symbol there that you see. These are all ways in which you can get the Human Torch and start to unlock him. And so I'm actually using the 300 biometric selector here that we got from a login event that was just about to expire. And then I'm going to use a bunch of other selectors. Now, these are the selectors that I have. I've saved up over a long time of purchasing different event sales, whether they're purchased for crystals or they're purchased for real money, and basically I only use them when I absolutely need to. And I have the luxury of, you know, being able to farm characters through other means because I've played the game for a long time and because I'm a high VIP level, so I have a lot of additional saved resources. But if you are selective and you only use your biometric selectors when you absolutely need them, you can absolutely achieve this after just, you know, about a year of playing with the right decision making and the right kind of setup. So in this case, I'm not using any rank up tickets despite the fact that I have them. You can see the little dot there says that I have rank up tickets from 2-star all the way up to 6-star, but I want to save those 2 to 6-star tickets and those mega rank up tickets for rarer characters like Luna Snow or perhaps Victorious, the new villain to support Doctor Doom. And I'm actually going to be doing that in a video later on this week. And so we've got Human Torch now finished at 6 stars, but we still have a long way to go. The first things first is getting his mastery up. Now, I know you guys have to spend a lot of Norn Stones for the epic quests, so you can weigh the mastery of the character. You still have to get the mastery up to get them to tier 2. That's not something you can skip. But in Human Torch's case, in Johnny Storm's case, his leadership Flame On is actually quite poor. It only gives 25% fire damage buff. We were expecting a 75 or 50% fire damage buff, given that the level 1 0-star mastery leadership or 1-star mastery leadership is 12.5%. So I don't know if that's a typo or if that's the actual amount, but it's very disappointing. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. And so you can consider, if you're gonna keep Human Torch at tier 1, to not get his mastery up because it doesn't help him as much as you might expect, and you can still use Red Hulk's leadership or Satana's leadership or someone else like that. Now we're going to go ahead and level him up. Usually you use about 1,880 chips, but because I already had him at level 40 by accident, because I clear ticketed some missions, I'm going to use just under 1,800, and I was very, very close there. You always want to aim a little bit lower than 100% because you can save those extra tickets. You can see there I used some level 1 XP chips and some level 5 because I know that level 5 XP chips will give me a bonus because of the bonus XP, and that way it'll go kind of over the limit. So you always want to aim a little bit lower than what it says. Go at least 1 bar. If you're going from 1 to 60, go down to 59 at least. From here, you have to rank up his gears. Now, ranking up his gears to 15 is not going to cost you any bios, but from there it will. So you do need to be careful. You do need both gear up kits and dimension debris, of course. The gold cost is actually not that bad for Human Torch, and for those of you that are still wondering, I definitely, after further testing, I definitely recommend the Human Torch over the Thing. Now, for those of you that wonder why I don't level up skills all the way, I'm leveling up this skill because of the effect that it has. Now, I look at the effect and I look at what leveling it up does. Leveling up those skills only increases the burn damage and the regular damage. That's not really good enough. Decreasing all speed is also not good enough for Firestorm. Supernova, I get more penetration chance, and I get more all attack, and I get more HP heal. So that's absolutely worth it to level up. So that's just kind of my rule of thumb. If there are good buffs on a skill, I will absolutely level it up to 6 if there's penetration or immunity or guard hit or heal. And then if there are lame, like kind of, shitty buffs like burn damage or bleed chance or something like that, then I will just go ahead and leave that skill at level 3. Level 3 is just kind of like my halfway point where it only costs about 150,000 gold to level it to level 3, and I'm getting half of the bonus damage that I would between level 1 and level 6. Meanwhile, going for it from 4 to 5 and 5 to 6 costs you much more gold. Here, I'm going back and I'm dipping into more biometric selectors because now I have to get his gears to 20. Whether you're going to use a tier 2 ticket on Human Torch or not, you're still going to need to get more bios to level up his gears to 20. Now keep in mind, if you're super patient or if you don't have biometric selectors, the other way that you can get Human Torch pretty consistently is from the epic quest. Now it's the mission to unlock Human Torch and get his bios does get unlocked after the halfway point of the epic quest, more than 50% into the epic quest. So you should also consider that it may take you a week or two to get that far in the epic quest for Mr. Fantastic, the Fantastic Four First Family epic quest that just got released. And so that will also, if it takes you, let's say, a week to get halfway through, that will also delay how long it's going to take you to start farming Human Torch. But he's completely free, and so whether or not you choose to go this way with kind of spamming the biometric selectors, or you choose to go the way of hardcore grinding, the amount of time it's going to take you will vary by at least a few days, because it's going to take you at least 3 days to get to the part of the epic quest that unlocks Johnny Storm's missions, which is how long it's going to take me. You can get the things bios from the second day, but none of them are available from the first day. You can only farm for Crystal, and then you also get She-Hulk later on during the second day, along with Ben Grimm. But here we're just leveling up his gears. It's totally random how many bios it's going to take. So it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 10, it could be 33. And so for that reason, there's no way to tell. There's no way to know how many biometrics you're going to need. I see this question still asked a lot. Hey, Cynicalex, I have 400 biometrics. Am I going to be able to get this character to gear 20, which is basically the threshold to use a tier 2 ticket on them? So basically, will I be able to get them to tier 2 with 400 biometrics? All of my gears are at 15, or one of my gears is at 16. I honestly don't know. On average, I would say it's about 350 biometrics to get a character's gears to 20, but as you can see, I spent more than 350 biometrics here on Human Torch. Now, I'm not even adding up the gold cost. The gold cost, the gear up kits, the dimension debris, I'm not even focusing on those, because if you don't have them, it can be a rough battle to get them, no doubt. I even as a whale, I haven't forgotten the struggle to get dimension debris and gear up kits. But focusing on the biometrics, you can see that it's extremely costly. I almost failed that. If that had been more than 22, I would have gotten stuck and I would have had to use more biometrics. So now we're at the point where a lot of people would just slap down a tier 2 ticket and they'd be done. I only have 8 biometrics. But in this case, while I do have some tier 2 tickets, I have 3 of them. I want to use one on Sue Storm. I want to use one on Victorious. So I'm only going to have one left, and I really just don't want to use it then on Johnny. So in that case, I have to do it naturally, which means, yes, you guessed it, I have to go back and I have to get more biometrics from my gift tab. Now I know I'm relying a little bit heavily on this, and I know that it's obviously not that easy for other players who don't have thousands of biometric selectors saved. A little flex there, but in your case, you can just apply whatever strategy you have for getting bios for Human Torch, and then just use those to your discretion. Or if you have more tier 2 tickets, or you don't have as many characters to tier 2, you don't have those targets to hit, you don't have to worry about that, and you can use a tier 2 ticket on him to save the gold, save the black antimatter, save the chaos Nornstones that you might need. And his tier 2 passive is quite good. His buff is pretty good. He's got more than 2,500 jump on his energy attack and some decent HP, and then once you tier 2 him, you can get that extra gold. But now you're probably wondering, what can you do, or what can you expect from a tier 2 Johnny Storm? Hey guys, So once you tier 2 the Human Torch, what can you do to enhance his build and kind of round him out? Well, I think a lot of people's first reaction is going to be to build up his HP because he has that crazy 30% recovery with a 1 second, with a 15-second cooldown. So you get, 30% of your HP back every 7.5 seconds with his 5th skill. But I honestly don't think that's necessarily the best situation or the best idea because his base HP, as you can see, is very low. It's only just barely above 20,000. And you're also going to be lowering, the more HP you add, the more offensive firepower you're not going to be able to give him. And he definitely has offensive firepower. He's got self buffs, he's got skill damage and bonus damage, and he's got additional buffs and all defense down, which will make his attacks do more damage. And then of course he has the penetration. So I really do think it's better to build your Human Torch offensively. In my case, in order to reach, a top 200 rank, I ended up rolling Overdrive for his ISO 8 set. I do think that Power of Angry Hulk is the best set for him. Hopefully he gets a uniform in the future so I can max his attack speed, but this is a very cool look for him. But I do believe that attack speed is the best set for him because of his 3rd skill, channeling Flame Blast. You can get more attacks in because you have higher attack speed since the attack doesn't end. It's a continuous attack. It's got a continuous motion or kind of trigger, and because he only gets 5% attack speed from his tier 2 passive, you're still going to be missing, between 10 and 15% depending on how much attack speed you have from your cards. And so for that reason, I do believe max attack speed is the goal. But Overdrive is still good, and so I didn't want to roll away from it and risk spending too much gold, so I stayed there. As far as the Obelisk goes, while a CTP of Energy would be nice for the chain hit damage, or a CTP of Destruction might be nice for the guard break immunity because he can be guard broken, I do think that a regular Obelisk with fire damage and a proc is probably best. Now, some people will tell you that Johnny absolutely needs guard break immunity. I'm unsure. I think the jury is still out on whether he needs it, like Weapon Hex, or whether it's just a recommendation that you can get away with if you play carefully. But I will keep you guys updated if my opinion on that changes. As far as his gear, or for the ISO, I just went with energy attack and crit damage with a little splash of ignore defense here for maxing out his ignore defense, because he doesn't really have, I believe he doesn't have ignore defense or skill cooldown on any of his gear. Yeah, he doesn't. None of his orange skills are cooldown or ignore defense, so you're gonna have to be careful. It's a little bit harder to cap both his ignore defense and his cooldown, and as you can see, I'm 0.01% over on ignore defense, and I'm still 1% off on cooldown, which I don't want to use Uru for because it just wastes Uru, to be honest with you, and it wastes too many slots that I could use for something else. In this case, I'm probably going to go for more crit rate. He gets 10% crit rate from his tier 2 passive, so keep in mind that you only have to go up to 65% max. The crit damage I'm keeping around 165, 170, because if I do decide to change his obelisk and I give him one with crit damage, between 30 and 35% is probably what you can expect a crit damage roll to land on for an extreme obelisk. So those are just the ideas. Those are the build recommendations that I would give you for the Human Torch. As far as his potential, at least in World Boss, I had a very easy time slapping down stage 45 of Ebony with a decent leadership in Ancient One with the 45% energy attack buff to blast types, in addition to the stacking elemental damage buff that she gives to all allies just by being tier 2 on the team. And then I also threw in the Ghost Panther tier 2 passive effect, which applies a buff to his fire damage. Where is Ghost Panther? It applies a buff to his fire damage in addition to the increased damage against supervillains. So he had an additional 50% fire damage, 25% elemental, and 45 increased. But he did work against Ebony. I didn't even play that well. I definitely could have played better. And he was a very easy, very fun, very flashy clear. So I do recommend you build up Human Torch. He's free to play, easy to get, and he's a lot of fun. He's a blast. He's a fiery dude to play. So torch it up. Let me know what you guys think about the Human Torch and who you want to see next. Don't get Ben Grimm first. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.